Hi everybody, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a mixed media Christmas card, but you can do this as an art journal page or on a canvas as well. This is a 5x7 Strathmore watercolor card, and I'm taping it down with painter's tape that I'm first attaching to my jeans to make it not quite so sticky because I don't want it to rip the paper. And the reason I'm taping it down is twofold. One, I like the border it's going to give me on the card. And two, I want to prevent any of the paint from getting on other parts of the card. So that's why. So I'm going to use Artist Loft turquoise paint, one of my favorites, dioxazine purple, Liquitex Basics, and quinacridone magenta. So basically a pink, a blue, and a purple. And these are all heavy bodied. They are analogous colors. They are next to each other on the color wheel, so we do not have to worry about them making mud. So I have that on my craft mat, and I'm using a makeup sponge that's been dampened a little bit, and I'm just spreading it onto the watercolor paper. It goes on nice and smooth. It doesn't require gesso. It is just very quick and easy. So using the other side of the sponge, or even part of the same side of the sponge, I'm adding now the turquoise. And what I want to do is get a blending going on here. And to answer your question, yes, you can totally use watercolors to create this background. And in fact, I have done that of using tense blocks in the past. I was just playing around and seeing if I could just use my acrylic paints. They are my most favorite. And for many of you, you need to know that you can pretty much do anything with acrylic paints that you can do with all those other things. So I kind of just smeared it on there, and now I'm lifting it off and I'm going to draw it. Now, this card, I had done some stamping. It was a project that just never quite happened. So I'm not really going to be using this as a card. I'm actually making this as a sample, as a possibility color combination for a card making class that I'm going to be teaching. So I'm just drawing it up, and I'm lifting it off the glass mat because there's so many layers there, and the watercolor paper absorbs the moisture, and I really want it to be dry for the next steps. So I took the Tile Mania stencil and I used the dioxazine purple, and I stenciled it on with the makeup sponge. Now I'm going to do the same thing with a different makeup sponge and the color white, and I'm just bumping the stencil a little bit. I absolutely love this Tile Mania stencil. It looks like little stars in the background. I put modeling paste through it. I've stenciled with it. It's one of those very versatile, you're never going to get tired of it. Oh my gosh, I have to make sure I don't use it all the time type of stencils. And I'll put a link to this, the watercolor cards, in the description box below. So you can see how bumping that stencil, and we have like little stars, and that just really makes this background. And I'm not using the typical Christmas colors. Now I have a lot of cut out circles in my stash. And when I run out my gel prints or collage papers, I just have little bits. If I can get a circle, a bigger or smaller one, I just stamp it, cut it out. And here I've chosen to keep the same color. So I have blue in the background, so I found the blue one. And then I found a pink one. And I actually stenciled that blue swirl on to make them work together. And then I found the other one that has pink and blue and a little bit of black. So I thought that was a good combination. Now this stencil that you see above is one that I created with my silhouette. And I am just stenciling across the top with black paint and a makeup sponge. and you've got that stark black that's going on. Now I'm using the floating acrylic technique and I'm shading around these balls. I want to turn them into more looking like Christmas ornaments than just cut out circles. And I'm not sure if I'm using the blue, or if I switch it up and I end up using black. I think I switch and use black because I didn't think that the blue was quite dark enough. Wasn't giving me enough of an effect that I was looking for. If you watch to the end of the video, I've also given examples of other cards I've made, basically using the same process, different stencils and different orientation, just to give you ideas if you decide to make your own Christmas cards. This Christmas card, from beginning to finish, took under half an hour. And once you have figured things out, and if you did multiples of the same colors, you could cut that time quite easily. So now I'm playing with the orientation. I like when things are overlapped. So typically I'm going to always try to have that, and they're going to be dangling from the garland above. Sometimes when I'm playing with the orientation of where I want the composition to be, I take a picture, then I switch it up, take another picture, and then I can compare easily and make my decision. I decide that I need a little bit of bling added to this, so I grabbed silver, and off camera, I believe I am thinning down the silver paint with water, and here I am with my fan brush splattering the silver. So that just gives it that little bit of bling. Now I'm just gluing this down with my gel medium, and I put a coat underneath and a coat on top. And then often I use my finger to press down on. As I was saying, these are gel prints, so they're just created. And if one doesn't necessarily fit, or I want to add more to it, a little gold or something, I can easily do that. So here I have it glued, taped down to a plastic cutting board that you buy at the dollar store. And that works really well. When you are taking off the tape, if you've used the heat tool on it, wait till it cools off and go slowly to make sure that it isn't pulling up some of the paint, some of the paper. And there you can see that nice, clean, crisp border. And I like that effect, especially when I'm making cards. So now I need to add the tops to these Christmas balls. And I'm just using gold paint, and I grabbed an angle brush. It just makes it a little easier. And I'm just painting a small square / rectangle to the top. And the gold is rather translucent, and so you can see through it, but I'm not too worried because I am going to add some line work and detail. And there you can see I've added lines. And here I'm using the Sakura Glaze pen. It is dimensional, so it doesn't lie flat, and it's shiny, and it is amazing, and it works so well for fine detail. So I'm just going around the baubles. And instead of going all the way around, I'm doing kind of a line and dot, 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 and a line and a dot, dot, dot. So on the finished card, this is, as I said, it's dimensional and it's shiny. It just adds that little extra something. It looks like kind of, you know how some of the cards are embossed? That's what the effect that it gives. I think I go afterwards and I go in the middle of the scroll or the swirl at the top, on top, kind of in the middle of the black. And then I'm going around the outside edge here as well. Love these Secure Glaze pens. You can go forward, you can go backwards, you can push. They just work so well and they give a nice broad color. So if you're looking for anything, check out in the description box the Amazon links. Also, wait and see all the different versions of this Christmas card that I've made using the same basic techniques. I hope you give this a try. If you do, I'd love to see you post on my Facebook group, Mixed Media Creations.